Answers of an Alien from Andromeda, Video 144, August 12, 2016. Friends, I've been talking to scientists in Antarctica base about issues related to my research, and they said that much information is already aware of your elites who have tried various agreements asking us not to interference in their affairs, something that was not possible to meet. The purpose of the Galactical community is to keep this planet controlled so that society level 1 will develop here as a race. Very exists on this planet, which makes it a cosmopolitan place in the solar system. I was indirectly authorized or currently not prevented to pass you some new information about the planet cosmopolitan. Below your oceans, there are societies living for several thousand years, from different races that coexist and live the planet's resources, and resources regularly brought from their planets of origin. These races include descendants of Atlantis, Sumerians' descendants, and descendants from many other societies that remained on the planet after the transfer of its people to other colonies. Allied to them, amphibious races, greys, Arcturians and Sirius populate the bottom of your oceans with very advanced societies. This may be a shock to some of you, but many have had some knowledge of it for sure. With the advent of your mapping the planet through your satellites, you can all observe the large visible structures to whom is not blind, at the bottom of your seas. These structures are large bases and cities, tracing straight lines that are angularly to change direction could not be and are not elements created by nature. And your scientific society cannot comment about it openly because it is not a right knowledge of ordinary citizens. On the maps that CB was to illustrate this matter, you can see that these artificial structures extend by all the world's oceans, clearly showing large bases and cities connected by wide channels with thousands of miles long, which carries high-speed transport between cities, power plants, mining units and food production. Dozens of these channels come across continents and connects with deep lakes in various locations. I never mentioned this openly because there was no permission for a wide dissemination of this information, but as I said, one CG authority did not object, to which I expose it. It seems that things are becoming more accessible in this period. See, the conviviality with these higher-level races will be completely possible once there is the integration of occupant race from the surface, coming from the reformatory colony with Galactical community as a recognized breed. Those who mistakenly think that there is a community living within the Earth will understand that everything that has been said about it was merely confusion with the races of the oceanic depths. You will have the opportunity to meet advanced and picturesque places like never imagined, cities with transparent domes, right here on your planet. Not all of these facilities are in use. Also, it has a lot of old stuff and a lot was evacuated to make room for tectonic changes, but many cities will continue with normal activity at the site where they are. The lights filmed for a few nights by your satellites and planes denote the activities in some of these removals are carried out lately. They are working hard to change a lot of facilities that remain in areas with higher forecast instabilities. So in many places are strange noises heard in various parts of the world. In the future will depend on the administrations of these cities allow controlled tourism of humans from the surface, and you will have the opportunity to see them personally. Another news is about Nibiru's system. They are moving the system and will set up in its exact acceleration and orbit to finally follow his path, and make corrections along its orbit to return to previous standards. The difference is that it will pass in a safer distance, taking advantage of the natural change of tectonic regions, that is, causing the smallest possible influence. This operation has been initiated by crew lines and the system will go towards south to north with respect to the orbital median plane of the planets of your solar system. We do not have the dates, but I can say that it can finally be seen during this crossing if the ship Crulian not be positioned between it and the Earth and Mars. They should take advantage of this period to set the orbits of Venus and possibly placing Taurus in the final orbits. Possibly you will have news of your astronomers on this massive movement in the Kuiper belt, and possibly many asteroids from the Kuiper belt may be going through the solar system at the moment of imbalance caused by these maneuvers in progress. This passage may accelerate the reversal of the poles, but this reversal would happen with or without this influence anyway. The thrusters for maneuvering installed on your moon will enter into standby again as they did when the system's arrival, to prevent its orbit is altered by some imbalance off the calculations of trajectories. Now the questions. Mythi, Roman nanotechnology inspires next-generation holograms for information storage. The question that came up was, you said nanotechnology was introduced only in the past century by reptilians in exchange for favors. Assuming that this artifact is a real piece of nanotechnology and, for its extraordinary composition, far ahead of the level of ordinary development of its time, could be identified like an alien gift, could this be an indicator of their presence and assistance in the past Roman Empire? Or were there other races who gave this type of gifts to Earth cultures too? This question arose because a few days ago someone asked if reptilian intromission changed Earth's history. This would limit their active presence here to newer times. This artifact, in change, could be an indicator that even their actual interference was anticipated a long time ago? Andre, nanocomposites technology is very old, all races dominate these techniques, so, do not give much credit to the reptilians. Many gifts and special materials were given to your old leaders by their mentors' races. As the legend of the Philosopher's Stone, those gifts were also parts molecularly programmed to perform functions, reprogramming materials by contact, among many other things, as rocks cutters by energy beam, gravity nullifiers, etc. Many of these unearthed artifacts of ancient catacombs had to return to Antarctica base as unilateral agreement with your elites. Mythi, where is our local community Galactica located? On a curtain planet, on a spaceship, and if so, where is it located? Do they have a particular building or space base? Where do they have meetings and sessions? Also, just how many different galactic communities are working throughout our own galaxy, the Milky Way, or in your galaxy, Andromeda? How is CG jurisdiction established, planet by planet, regional location, as in one CG has jurisdiction over several galaxies, or something else? Seems to me more than one, and do they all communicate their doings to each other? Friends, regional galactic communities intercommunicate among themselves. On average, a regional community has a few thousand affiliate planets, but this is not a constant, for when a regional becomes very swollen it splits in two to keep the oversight potential. Jurisdiction is very relative. In places where the planets are very scattered, the regional coverage area can be huge. When in a very dense center of planets, jurisdiction is a small region physically. There are 4,108 regional CGs here in your galaxy and 18,346 in Andromeda. When a regional CG meets, it's not like your kind of meeting in an auditorium or in a large place. I will try to explain in a simple way. The meetings are made with holographic mental connections where all representatives can participate in or give its opinion in order, and only attend the meeting those who have something to do with the matter to be discussed. All representatives can consult the annals of CG to verify any matter that has been discussed and the measures taken for its resolution. So there is not a physical place, but there is a mental connection in real time. If a representative wants to discuss something personal with another representative, simply makes a visit. Mythy, is this video real? Is there a race like this? And if so, what are they called? If such a being dies on Earth, would he reincarnate back on his own planet or here on Earth? Yes, Teddy, the image is real. Many accidents have happened and some have happened in recent times. This is a breed of Aldebaran planet. We have some greys of this race in our fleet also. They are excellent navigators and many other fleets use their services. They also keep some scientific units circulating through solar systems. As I said before, any being, including you, or dying elsewhere in the universe automatically returns to the area of the blue beings responsible for your home planet. Mythy, story about event in the CERN in January 2014 looks pretty real to me, and it looks like the lead scientist's elite puppet was extracted by teleportation. Can you tell us if this was true and give us some details, please? Yurish, when some of the experiments reaches points with catastrophic possibilities, most of them using re-engineered aliens artifacts, scientific units of the CG can teleport key elements to explain the reasons why the direction of that particular study may represent a hazard stability for the human race. Many of your scientists have had this class, directly or subliminally. Few have the courage to make these interactions public. In the case of CERN, parallel to the facade of study on antimatter production, they tried to open a passage that goes through the Van Allen belt to try to contact via wormhole with other races that do not have the same limitations imposed by the reptilians to your elites. CERN was built in a location other than the ideal. It would be more convenient in the desert, wide and flat, precisely because there is a quantum plasma portal passage that is located right on that spot and was the first portal of the kind discovered by them. These special portals are not for spacecraft, they maintain the balance of the necessary quantum flow system for the maintenance of all physical and material life of the planet. Another story. It is a vain attempt because everything that happens on the planet is closely supervised by scientists from CG. Mythy, is there an earthly cure for blindness caused by glaucoma? Or at least a way to stop this illness from causing total blindness without surgery? Guzmi, your scientists have identified the molecular building blocks necessary for the rehabilitation of drainage mechanisms in the eye and provide the tools chemical for repair. Perhaps they should announce this remedy soon. I wonder if you can tell us how old the oldest living human of Earth is. It seems as though the wealthy elite are able to continue their lives for extended periods, allowing them to continue squeezing our world. The inventors of the system we think of as USA money, the Rothschild family for example. Are there folks among us who have been able to live way past their expiration dates through exchange favors with Ra or Mo people? I'm not sure if you is able to answer me directly, as I have a suspicion that there are some of us whom he cannot engage, but don't worry. The reasons as I see them are reasonable. Anything more you can tell us would be appreciated. Joshua, by the records, there were humans who managed to live up to 148 years old here on the planet. But they lived in places with healthy food without chemical preservatives or without any kind of pollution that was not natural. In the case of your elites, there are no gods or demons involved. They use blood transplants and vital organs to continue their careers in lust. In their case, they are only multiplying the time they will get lost in much less comfortable zones for their next incarnations. Mythy, on occasion I experience mental communication with geometrical patterns. Is it true that I can learn how to mold this energy for art of healing others? For instance, the geometric pattern of a circle. By calling in the geometric pattern of a circle to encapsulate a part of the body in need of repair with the circle, then directing energy from my body through breath into the circle will create matter. Is this correct? How does the breath create ectoplasm? Can you explain the geometric patterns I see or why I see this? How can an individual practice this art of healing? Karen, geometrical figures are a form of contemplative concentration. They form combinations of brain activation when focuses them. But the figures are not a necessary condition for energy concentrators activation in your brain. A brain with large activation generates these figures intuitive inside out, without the need to physically view is used for this. Ectoplasm is a form of intermediate matter that you do not exhale when you are in the physical body, which you concentrate and can transmit, is energy, through channeling this energy and focusing on the problem to be helped. Mythy, I saw movie Star Trek Beyond yesterday, and the antagonist of that film looked like one from a reptilian race. Do you think that the choice of a main antagonist is well planned? Maybe those creatures were in that movie to show the public that one day we may have that kind of enemy? Thank you. Taddy, you create these threads and they are convinced that they are true. First, you do not have enemies who want to destroy you. If there was this kind of enemy, you all no longer be here. As I said, the reptilians are much more advanced than you think. Even with the cold-blooded, they have always had many restrictions on the elimination of other cultures. Previously there were many disputes for possession of planets and probably still let there be in remote places of this universe, but where the community Galactica maintains oversight, it does not already for millennia. Keep in mind that the most difficult races of relationship are not the reptilians but the insectoid. Some reptoids members of our fleet have much left of the characters that you draw to represent the reptilians in general. Mythy, what is the true function of the appendix in our organs? It was a mystery before, until the scientists found out the function of the appendix is to act as a safe house for good bacteria. The body uses this to essentially reboot the digestive system when one suffers from a bout of dysentery or cholera. There is also a push by independent researchers to promote probiotics, which are cultures of good bacteria. Is this all for profit and propaganda? What can you say about this? Intestinal appendix is a repository of seeds of your intestinal flora. There you have colonies of bacteria, coliform bacilli, among many other organisms that help in the decomposition and metabolism of the diet. When something happens in the colony, there is a breakdown, can be almost completely eliminated from the digestive system and causing an anemic condition for a long period. When an accident happens such, the appendix closes its entry by peristaltic compression and protects the crops for a speedy recovery, and only releases the output of these crops when the problem has been minimized. When the appendix festers, It is because the colony reservation was literally attacked by very aggressive bacteria, causing the reserves are destroyed and manifest the infection. If the appendix is removed and the person have some intestinal problem, it is very good to take compounds made with bacilli and benign bacteria to accelerate the replacement of digestive functions. Mythi: if enlightened beings helped the Egyptians, Mayans, and Aztecs develop their civilizations, how did the practice of human sacrifice become so prevalent and so widespread? Did reptilians have something to do with it? Luna, who triggered this series of information about sacrifices? By chance were the Jesuits who accompanied these expeditions and wrote the story? If I told you that the sites found were not to sacrifice but to the healing of the sick by the concentration of cosmic energy of the place, would you believe? Mythi: do you have any other contacts like Captain Bill on the other planets you are helping integrate into a level 1 society? How many other level 0 colonies where your crew has worked have you repeated this same type of social study of the inhabitants? Did you find it was successful in adding knowledge and understanding to both the student and the teacher? Yes, I have had contacts with other civilizations 0 level. My studies are too long, already involve some hundreds of colonies where we were present. I can say that here is a little different, you all are sui generis. For this colony have been a reformatory with many mixtures of levels and races. It is a different experience in my studies. In my case, thinking as a scientist, the more problematic is the colony, the more interesting it becomes the study, and most significant is the exchange of information between students and teacher. Mythi: my wife, like many in this world, are dealing with a condition called dyslexia. What can you tell us about this, and are there any measures that can be taken to help this condition? Randy: many of these genetic disorders could be easily resolved if it had access to some of our technologies, but can be minimized or even solved by energy concentration. If you have enough willpower to focus 1/10 of what a monk could put your hand on the head of your wife in a relaxed state, and channeling energy that could create the correct link between images, sounds and shapes. She could go saying what should be said while you were channeling, and you could see the effects happening in real time. Just have a try. I want to see all of you soon again. Stay together as a big team, be sure this will worth at the final.